Welcome to this moment in our world. Yeah. Welcome to this sacred space and the sights and sounds and tastes. Can you feel it? If you can, then clap your hand. Can you feel it? Come on. If you feel it, clap with me. If you can, then stand up on your feet and you feel it. And you feel it. Oh, we are welcome here. Different walks of life. Leave your worries at the door and come inside. We are welcome here. Troubles cast aside. We are all as one as we sway from side to side. Let me see you sway. Let me see you sway now. Welcome to this moment in our world. Yeah. I said welcome. Welcome to our human revolution. And we're born into the movement. Can you feel it? If you can, then clap your hands. Can you feel it? If you feel it, then stand up on your feet. And you feel it. And you feel it. We are gathered here from different walks of life. Leave your worries at the door and come inside. We are welcome here. Troubles cast aside. We are all as one as we sway from side to side. Welcome, I said. Welcome, sway from side to side. I said welcome, you are welcome here.
Welcome, welcome. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yes, my name is Valerie Hope. I am your celebration assistant this morning.
Yay!
Yay! I'm so grateful for those of you who came to join us here in person and for those that might be tuning in online. Welcome to this weekend, this Memorial Day weekend. And for some of us, is a weekend filled with family and friends and opportunities to take some time off and relax. And for a lot of us, too, there's 645,000 men and women who served this country since World War I who perished. And this is also an opportunity for us to honor them. And not only those who perished, but the families they left behind and the veterans who served next to them. So we want to keep that in mind. If you feel called to, on the prayer request forms, feel free to put the name of someone that you know who served, who's perished, or someone who was left behind, and honor them in that way. But thank you all so much for being here with us today. We have a guest speaker today. Ms. Kim Andrews is with us again. And she'll be doing our meditation as well as our lesson today. Now, I want to take this moment to go ahead and introduce you formally so that they're already in the know. Ms. Kim Andrews here is considered a story shepherd, which I think is a fantastic phrase, and peacemaker. She's had a storied spiritual journey over the past few decades and has trusted her intuition, has said yes to many divine callings, and her callings have been anything from being a first-time published author to a facilitator of sacred sharing circles to producer and director of storytelling events in spiritual leadership. Since 2018, Kim has been serving as a spiritual leader at the Unity Spiritual Center in Sachse, where she inspires seekers to explore, embrace, and express their innate divine natures. And they have loaned her to us today so that we're able to express our divine natures along with you. Thank you so much for being with us. Let's give her a round of applause. Wonderful. If you don't already know, we like to socialize in this community, and we invite you to come any Sunday before the service and socialize. We have a coffee machine set up here now. There are books available for a love offering. We just want to get to know you and spend some time in fellowship before our service begins, so you're welcome to do so and joining us for that. We want to share our abundance with our community. You all know that we have a small way to serve our community by putting goods out front on Greenville, and we need that to be restocked every once in a while. So if you feel called, again, to bring items that are easily distributed, items that are non-perishable, we would love to have that to contribute to those who might be needing some additional food. Or even household goods, things like toothbrush and toothpaste, things that are easy to travel with. Welcome you all. Thank you so much if you've already contributed and for those that will continue to do so. I always like to give shout outs to Kim Doria, who is our social media person. She's done such a great job in taking the videos from our Sunday services and cutting them down so that we have only the service or only the music, or she puts meditations and as well as affirmations on there. So if you are in any time needing a little pick-me-up during the week, you can go to our YouTube channel, you can find us on Facebook, you can find us on Instagram, and just get a boost, right? So previous lessons are also there, so you can just get a nice little reboot every week. If there's a favorite speaker that you heard, or perhaps something that you'd just like to make sure that you don't forget, I want to honor Kim for providing that service for us, and really the service that she does is for our benefit. You can see here on our list we have an exciting slate of speakers this summer, starting with today with Kim, and next week we have Reverend Karen coming back. Reverend Karen will be with us next Sunday, so we welcome you. This is a great opportunity to take advantage of our coffee machine in the foyer, so you can come and join us then. And then afterwards, we actually will have some snacks available for those that want to continue to share and fellowship with Karen. So feel free to come in early and then stay a little bit after the service as well. We're going to move into our offerings. We take 10% of all the tithes that you all provide for this community to also serve our own community here in Dallas and different organizations. We want to thank you so much. If this is a spiritual community where you feel the most nourishment, where you feel not only called to serve, but also an opportunity to bless others and bless the people that we now serve because of the tithes that we have available. We want to we want to thank you, first of all. We want to appreciate that. We have several ways that you can give here in the sanctuary. We have an offering plate here at the end of the foyer, but we also have ways to do so online, and you can see that on the screen. We want to, more than anything, bless our offerings. So if you could, with me, say the offering blessing. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. With gratitude, we commit to using our gifts for good. Amen. Thank you. And now our daily word message. The daily word for Sunday, May 28th is comfort. And the affirmation is, loving memories comfort me. It reads, there may be days or maybe even weeks on the calendar when I find myself mysteriously feeling melancholy or blue, only to realize the anniversary of someone or something I have loved and lost is approaching. Even when I don't realize it outright, a part of me remembers and responds. I can honor these feelings as a way to honor the people and places that have taught me and helped me evolve. Welcoming my feelings brings deep and abiding comfort. I carry those people and places I love with me in the things that I do, keeping their spirit alive. Gradually, I find smiles within the sadness. Revisiting treasured memories reveals the love within the loss. The presence of God is found within the gift of each moment, and I find comfort through my grateful heart. Our scripture comes from Psalms 119, verse 76. Let your steadfast love become my comfort, according to your promise to your servant. Please say aloud with me the affirmation on the screen. Loving memories comfort me. Thank you. And now I invite our prayer chaplain to come up and offer a word of prayer.
Let us pray. Divine Spirit, as we know that memories do comfort us, they sometimes cause us some sadness. But we know that you are always with us, guiding us, knowing that sometimes we need to feel the sadness, the memories. But with that comes comfort, and that comfort comes from you, Divine Spirit. And we are so grateful that we are able to accept how we feel and know that you will always comfort us, whether it's happiness, melancholy. It matters not, because you are always with us, guiding us. And we are grateful. Amen.
I invite you to close your eyes. Let's take a deep breath together. Let's inhale. Exhale. Inhale again. Exhale. And as we continue to breathe and relax and settle in, we affirm that life is breath, and breath is life. Life with a capital L. Life that is God, that comes from God. The same life, the same force that energizes every single cell of our bodies. That God-inspired force that is us. Every last one of us, that unites us, that holds us. So we just let ourselves settle here. Allowing ourselves, giving ourselves permission to feel that force in our breath. Pay attention to the beat of our hearts, knowing that there is one heart, one love. Just breathe and relax, fully supported by the chair you're in. Fully supported in and through all things, all circumstances. We allow ourselves to feel the energy of those seated here in the room, as well as those online, and every sentient being on this beautiful planet on which we live. one heart beating, one inhale, one exhale in each moment. With every inhale, we inhale love and we exhale love, knowing and affirming that is an infinite energy that not only wraps us, but enfolds all those around the world. Just let yourself be peace in this moment. Radiate peace in this moment. Not the peace of this world, but the peace that is God. The love, the peace that heals and harmonizes all things. And we let this infinite love, this infinite peace radiate around the world. Enfolding all beings. Breathe peace upon this planet. Breathe peace upon this planet. With every breath, every single breath, every beat of your heart, breathe peace. Breathe love. Just let yourself be here. For the peace of God is always present, waiting for us to recognize it, to see it, to consciously be it again. And to radiate it across this beautiful planet. And here on this Memorial Day, with the energy force of all those who gave their lives so that we could be free, we honor them. We honor all life. All life. All life. Let's breathe in again. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe in again. Knowing that peace and love and light and life is ours always. Continue to breathe, knowing that you can return to this state whenever you care to claim it. Knowing that you have the power to radiate peace and love around this planet. Knowing that you are a unique expression of the divine. Divine magnificence in expression. With the power to bless and to share love and to share peace. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen.
Don't believe what the world is saying. Just listen to your heart. 'Cause if you watch the news, you might get the blues. There was a man who showed us the way. Even if somebody hurts you, even if you feel anger, just choose to be the peace, be the peacemaker. If you wanna prove the peace is alive, you can show it to your neighbor. Be a peacemaker. If you wanna make a different world, be a peacemaker. Do it right now, not later. 'Cause we are the peacemakers. We are the peacemakers. We make the peace in our world, and it spreads to the world. We are the peacemakers. You are the peacemaker. You make the peace in your world, and it spreads to the world. I want y'all to repeat after me. If you want to prove that peace is alive, right here. If you want to prove that peace is alive, you can show it to your neighbor. Come on. Show it to your neighbor. Be a peacemaker with me. Be a peacemaker. If you want to make a different world with me, want to make a different world, you can be a peacemaker. Come on. Be a peacemaker. Do it now, not later. Let's do it now, not later. 'Cause we are the peacemakers. We are the peacemakers. We make the peace in our world, and then it spreads to the world. We are the peacemakers. We are the peacemakers. We make the peace in our world, and it spreads to the world. Be a peacemaker with me. Be a peacemaker. I'm a peacemaker. What are you? I'm a peacemaker. Be a peacemaker. Come on. Be a peacemaker. What are we? I'm a peacemaker. I'm a peacemaker. Be a peacemaker. Be a peacemaker. I'm a peacemaker. One more time. I'm a peacemaker.
I'm one of a family of 5. I have 2 siblings, an older sister and a younger brother. And my parents got married very early after college. I do know that my mother came into the marriage running from home. She experienced quite a bit of trauma and sexual abuse at home. And my father also was coming into the marriage with his own set of trauma and issues. And I don't have as much information about that. But I do know that their marriage was problematic from the start. They were both escaping something, or so they thought. So growing up, our home was interesting. It was often tense, but it was quiet. And one of the things I realized as I came into adulthood, that quiet doesn't always mean peaceful. There were times when my parents didn't speak to each other, and they'd give each other the silent treatment. I witnessed very little affection between my parents. I could probably count on one hand the public displays of affection and probably have some fingers left over. And the ones that I did witness are imprinted on my brain because they were so rare and quite impressive. In fact, most of them I didn't believe when I saw them because I thought, it's not my parents. It's not my parents. I'm not used to them looking at each other that way or speaking to each other that way. So we had quite a bit of tension. You've heard of the book, The Love Languages? Well, there's an extra one. It's called sarcasm. That's the one that was governed my home. And most of what we did, and because we watched this as children, watching my parents, was to protect ourselves from each other. Everything was regarded with suspicion. So even if you said something nice, I would wonder, why'd you say that? And why are you being nice to me? What you do? What are you making up for? What do I need to know? What are you hiding? Why do you want to know how I'm doing? Don't I look like I'm doing okay? Always suspicion. And I learned that I better get you because you're probably coming for me at some point. So it's best if I strike first, go on the offensive. That's how I learned to have relationships. I knew in my teenage years that I didn't want my parents' marriage. I love my parents dearly. They did the best they could with what they had, like we all do. And so they gave us what they thought they needed to give us. And the rest, as my mother told me later in life, she thought they hid that. And I said, Mom, that wasn't possible. Because we feel each other's energy. We know what's going on without you having to tell us. We know you and Dad are having problems without you having to speak that to us and let us know that. So I had vowed early on that I wasn't going to get married if I couldn't do it right. And I didn't know what doing it right meant, because all I knew was how I didn't want to do it. So I knew I was going to have to teach myself that. I knew I was going to have to figure out how to be in relationship with myself so I could be in relationship with others. And I knew I wanted a peaceful home, but I didn't know how to get that. I just knew that I had no peace at home, even though it was quiet. If my parents did fight, they fought like every 6 months, and they would fight about what they didn't talk about for those 6 months. And they always fought at night when they thought we were asleep, but we had a tiny little house, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and we were always sitting at the top of the stairs listening to them fight so we could figure out what was going on. So that was our life. And I thought, I don't want to do this. I'm not going to do this. So in the 70s and 80s, I probably read every single self-help book that was ever written, because I wanted to learn how to do it right if I was ever going to be in a relationship. And I made some bad mistakes because I was coming with my own baggage, with my own stuff, as we all are. But all this time, all I knew was that I wanted peace. I wanted peace. I want it within me, even though I didn't feel it. But I knew I didn't want to feel the way I felt. because of that home environment, most of my life, my inner life was chaotic. I'm always grappling for attention. I always want approval from somebody else because I wasn't getting it inwardly. I didn't have it myself. So I needed to get it from you so that I know how my day's going to go. So everything outside of me determined what my day was like. If whoever I'm dating is mad at me, then I'm having a bad day. If something happens at work that's not good, then I'm having a bad day. And I was exhausted in my 20s. I was tired, and I thought I'm going to have to figure out what this peace thing is so I can have it. So the self-help books worked. Some. And I started to find out what it was like to be in relationship with myself and have some inner peace. Finally, I started to learn about myself. Who am I? What are my issues? How do I solve them? What are my triggers? How do I not go from 0 to 60 at the slightest change or the slightest word from somebody else, from the news, in relationships? A boyfriend says to me, a friend said something to me, somebody looks at me when I'm on the subway, and suddenly I'm thinking I don't look as good as I thought I did when I walked out the door, and now all of a sudden I'm feeling less than for the rest of the day. Just inner turmoil all the time. And so I started to fix that and started to feel better, started to have more peace. When I got into my 30s, I started to meditate. And things really got better then. But in the beginning, it was hard because I didn't know how to sit with myself in the beginning. My first 5 minutes of silence with myself was pure torture. And those 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. And every 20 seconds, I was looking at my clock again because I wanted to know, when is this going to be over, because I can't stand it. But I wasn't going to let a little silence daunt me. So I stayed in it. And I learned how to be with myself. I learned how to be in the silence. And then I noticed that my life started to get more peaceful because I was able to enjoy that time that seems to sink in between stimulus and response. When you start to meditate, somehow that gulf widens. And you have some time to think about, who is it I choose to be in this moment? Am I going to go from 0 to 60, or am I going to respond rather than react? So things started to get better. I started to feel more peaceful, and I realized that peace was me. I started to have a real relationship with spirit because I was finding a spiritual life that spoke to me and gave me a ground and gave me a foundation on which to stand, so that when the rug gets pulled out from under me, I'm still good. And the rug always gets pulled out from under us, doesn't it? So I got more and more peaceful. I got more and more peaceful, and I continued this journey towards peace. So we'll fast forward again to about 4 years ago. I was in a class with Michael Gott at Unity of Houston, and he challenged us to go outside and be in nature and to listen. And this is probably about day 4 in a 5-day intensive of C classes. And I'm thinking, last thing I want to do is go out, be in nature. Oh my gosh, like what? I'm not a tree hugger. What do you want me to do? So I didn't feel like it. But I always know it's generally when I don't feel like doing something, it's best that I do that thing because I'm resisting something. So we had to do the lesson. So I went outside and I sat by a tree. I actually do love trees. So I sat under this huge tree and had this wonderful canopy, and it was also by a water feature. And water's another one of my special places to be. And I sat there, and I just got quiet. And I just got quiet. By this time, I am in year 2 of my ministry at Unity of Sachse. And I'm starting to feel like I'm starting to figure out a couple of things. I'm starting to feel, I feel like I'm in my stride here and things are going well. And yes, I have some goals, but I'm learning some things and we're winning at some things. I've got some achievements that I'm really proud of. And so I'm feeling pretty good, kind of sitting on my laurels, enjoying it a little bit. And I hear you're based in Sachse, but you belong to the world and you have a message of peace. And I thought, no, I don't. I'm pretty comfortable right now. I don't want to do something else. I'm barely figuring out how to do this. Now you want me to take on something else. You want me to expand. But Spirit's call is always for expansion. Always. Because we are created, but also creators. So I just let myself sit with it for a time. And I asked, please show me how to do this. Whatever it is you want me to talk about. Whatever it is, this message of peace. And as I sat with it, I realized that for those 30 years, through my teenage years and on into the age I am now, I had actually put together a modality, some tools for being peaceful. And I started reading about how consciousness can affect the world, the global consciousness, and that a small percentage of people, the formula is actually the square root of 1% of a population, can affect a large number of people. We have 8 billion people on this planet. Square root of 1% of 8 billion is 8,945. Less than 9,000 people, if we are radiating peace, can bring peace to the planet. 9,000 people. And that formula came from the peace studies of the 70s and the 80s, where people were sitting doing transcendental meditation and they could affect an area in conflict, an area that is warring, and bring peace. The conflict would stop. Crime rates would go down. And when they stopped meditating, those numbers would rise again. So I thought, well, what if we radiated peace all the time? What if we could get there? What if we could get there? What would that look like? What would living in peace look and feel like? How could I radiate peace? And some of that I'm still figuring out, but the first job is, how do we become peaceful? Because if you're one of the 9,000, you have to be peaceful within yourself. And that meant, since I was saying yes to a calling about bring peace to the world, I needed to bring peace to my world. And I did have a very peaceful life. I had a very happy, peaceful marriage. And yet I found myself in moments so not peaceful. So if you're in a relationship, if you are married, you know there are many opportunities for figuring out whether or not you are peaceful. Many opportunities. And mine were coming right here at this time because I have said yes to a peace initiative. One day, I was in my husband's office at home, and the printer's in there, and I went in to get something, and always when you want something to print quickly, the printer's not working, at least in my house. So the printer wasn't working, and I'm starting to get agitated, and my husband knows that. His desk is right there in front of me, and he said, "How are you?" And I had a flicker of agitation. Why are you asking me how I am? Can you not see how I'm doing right now, going crazy with this printer? And I'm just spiraling down. I'm all in my head. And I'm looking at him funny, but he's used to the funny look because he's lived with me now for 20-some years. He's used to that look. And in that moment, I thought, you are radiating something other than peace, girlfriend. What are you going to do with that? It's important to me to walk the talk. Integrity is one of my highest values. So if I'm going to talk to you about a peace initiative, I need to figure out why I'm agitated at my husband for asking me how I am. Very innocent question. What I know about him is that he is thoughtful and loving, and he only wants my highest and best. I know that when he asks me how I'm doing, he really wants to know how I'm doing. Because if I'm not doing well, if it's within his power to help me do well, he's going to do it. But my patterns from growing up always come up, and they haunt me, as they do all of us. And so my first feeling was to be suspicious of his question. Don't I look like I'm doing okay? Why are you asking me that again? So I took a breath and I looked at him. And I closed my eyes then, because I had to take another breath because I'm trying to be peaceful. And this is not my MO all the time, because my patterns are coming up and kicking me. And after I took some deep breaths, I opened my eyes and I looked at him and I said, I'm doing fine. I'm just having a couple of issues with the printer. I realized we've been married 20-some years. And that's probably the first time I didn't get agitated when he asked me how I'm doing. How peaceful is that? And I knew in that moment I got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of work to do, because we get less than peaceful at a moment's notice. How many of you get in the car and are peaceful from the time you get in the car till the time you get to your destination? What do you think in your head when somebody cuts you off? Do you call them a name? Do you give them a hand signal? It's not so nice. What happens when you have a family reunion or a family get-together? And suddenly, those old patterns, the brother that used to always be at you as you're growing up, and still feels like you're at you, and you all regress back to being 10 and 11, 12 years old at a family gathering, even though we're all grown adults now. How many of us do that? And then we're back at that same family issue, the same family drama and dysfunction as adults. We're less than peaceful. How many of you can't be around somebody who votes differently than you do? How many of you have fractured relationships because somebody you know voted for the other guy? We are now in another election cycle. Well, it feels like we're always in an election cycle. They don't seem to end anymore. How many of you are already feeling the hype? And can you be an instrument of peace in this election cycle? Can you have conversations with people who don't believe what you believe, who don't vote the way that you vote? What do you think about people who don't have the same background? Maybe you grew up in different places. Maybe you grew up with different faces. I don't know. But what are you harboring deep inside that's not peaceful? And are you willing to do something about it, to do the hard work, to figure out why you go from 0 to 60 at the flash of something? Are you willing to sit down and figure out why you can't be with family and be peaceful the entire time? You get to a family gathering and all you can think about is, when is this over? Are we willing to do the work? Are we willing to look inside and see what it is we need to change? Because we're the only ones we have control over. We're the only ones. So many people have become peaceful out of less than peaceful situations. In fact, they come out of some of the most horrific situations and circumstances ever and become instruments of peace. Anthony Ray Hinton was accused of murder, convicted of murder, which he did not commit, and he was on death row for 30 plus years in a Georgia prison. And he became an instrument of peace, not just to himself, but to guards and to other inmates. He befriended a white supremacist who was in prison on death row for killing a black man. Anthony Ray Hinton is black. And the man he befriended, his family cut him off when they found out he was friends with a black man. And they became the best of friends until that man was executed. Anthony Ray Hinton eventually was exonerated because they realized after 30-some years in prison, that he didn't commit that crime. And he now does talks around the world about peace and reconciliation. Viktor Frankl, Edith Ava Eger, both of them Holocaust survivors, came out and are now doing work in the world to bring peace, or talking about what they went through and talking about how they forgave and how they found peace within themselves in order to come into the world and be an instrument of peace for all of us. For all of us. Nelson Mandela, 30 years in the brutal Robben Island prison, came out and changed a nation because he was able to forgive and found peace within, and is now an instrument of peace still after his death. Still after his death. So it's possible no matter what's happened. I mean, I have issues, but my issues weren't like that. We're not here to compare pain. What we're here to know is that we have the ability to be whatever it is we claim that we are. And we are individual, unique expressions of the divine. Which means the same peace that is the Creator, that is Spirit, that is God, that is the all-good, is our peace. Jesus exhibited that. He is the prime example of that probably, because he went into his peace, his oneness with God, and pulled everything for his life from that peace. His knowledge of that oneness, and that's where his peace came from. His knowledge of his oneness with the Father. And throughout his life, through all his trials and tribulations, he was peaceful. During his time that we call the Passion Week, even as he was being accused, arrested, sentenced to die, crucified, he is exhibiting peace. Peace. And Jesus said, greater things will we do. Which means if he can do that, we can do so much more. And yet, do we harness that force of peace that we have? And like we did in the meditation, do we use that to radiate peace around the world? I know that I have to work on my inner peace all the time. Because at least a couple of times a day, at least there's something else that could send me to the boiling point. And yet I know that peace now is my highest value. I want peace more than I want anything else. I want peace for me, and I want peace for you. And I want peace for all beings. I want peace for Mother Earth. And yet it's not going to happen if I don't become peaceful. But we only need 9,000 of us to say yes to that mission, to be able to spread peace around the planet. Are we willing to go there? Are we willing to do the work? Probably in just about any Unity church or New Thought church, at the end of service, you'll hear the peace song. Peace begins with me. And yet, do we sing it? We got a kumbaya moment, and we're swaying back and forth, and we're holding hands. We're singing about peace, and peace begins with me. We're throwing our hands up in the air. And yet, are we just singing a song because it's nice and it feels good in the moment? Is it just lip service? Or are you truly going to be an instrument of peace? Is peace truly beginning with you every single day? For me, more often than not, it is. But man, there are some moments I'm still working on. I'm still working on peace for me so that we can have peace as a people. As a people. Every single person, no matter where they are, no matter what they believe, no matter how they worship, no matter where they worship, no matter how they vote, no matter what they look like, no matter what they've done in their lives. Anthony Ray Hinton was able to look at others on death row and see goodness within people. Can we do the same? Can we do the same? It's a high calling. Gandhi once said that he knew that he had so much work to do within himself to be peaceful. And if he's got a lot of work to do, I know I got a whole lot of work to do. What are we willing to do? Are we willing to be true instruments of peace? True instruments of peace. And what does that mean for your life? I know what it means for me. I know that I'm trying to find 9,000 people who are willing to do this. But we don't have to go out, and we don't have to have banners or placards, and we don't have to protest in places. You can be what we call a subtle activist and use consciousness and prayer to affect the world. To affect the world, not just our own lives, but the lives of everybody else on this planet, the other 8 billion. So where does it come from? It comes from within us. It is us. Spirit is the ultimate peace, and as unique divine expressions, so are we. And with Jesus as way shower, we get to say, I too can walk that path. I too can be peace in the most horrific of moments. I too can be peace no matter what's happening around me. I too can be peace in a room where people are full of chaos. I can radiate peace. I can be peace in the world. It's easy to say it, easy to sing it, not so easy to be it. But we are that thing. We are that thing. We just have to claim it. Claim it. And just like we sang so beautifully earlier, we are the peacemakers. We are the peacemakers. We are peacemakers. Claim it for yourself and claim it for all humanity. And here on this Memorial Day weekend, this is the best time to start. So many people around this world gave their lives for their countries. There's so much conflict. More countries than not have conflict in their countries. We are at each other's throats. We are at each other's throats. And I'm one who says it's time to stop. It's time to be peace in the world. I invite you to come with me. Namaste.
It would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding me. I wish I could say all I'm longing to say. Say it loud, say it clear, for the whole round world to hear. Share all the love that's in my heart. Remove all the bars that keep us apart. I wish you knew what it means to be me. Then you'd see, you'd agree. Every one of us should be free. I wish I could give all I'm longing to give. I wish I could live how I really want to live. I wish I could do all the things that I can't do. Though I'm way overdue, I'll be starting anew. Let's start anew, y'all. I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it will be when I spread my wings and fly. I wish I could go up to the sun and see. I'd look down at the world and I'd say I'm finally free. Let's be free. Let's be free, y'all. Yeah, yeah. I know that we shall be free.
That peace, a message of peace, to be so rousing. My goodness. Thank you both. And as we're here taking in the music and taking in the wonderful message, thank you again, Kim, for your lovely message. We're up to something here at Unity on Greenville. We have a mission. It's on the screen. I'd love to generate this out loud so that we can also confirm it to ourselves. With me. With divine love as our foundation, we live unity, spiritual principles. We awaken to truth. We affirm the innate goodness of all and our oneness with creation. Thank you so much. We also are in the throes of looking for a new minister, if you could please generate this out loud with the intention in which is written. The new minister affirmation says, we embrace with love, joy, and harmony a creative and dedicated spiritual leader. They will bring positivity, connection to our community. Thank you very much. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, whether you're here at the service or online, we do want to welcome you to this community. Feel free to go to our website for additional information about our chapel, as well as if you'd like to get added to our newsletter, mailing list, or like to find out more information about what's going on here in our church. We welcome you to not only do that online, but also if you have questions, there are plenty of us here that you can stop and ask. Now, we have been given the challenge by Kim to use our time with this peace song to actually mean it. So please stand up and sing it like you mean it, our peace song.
Yes, there is peace on earth. I know it begins in me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God, our Creator, united, all are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, there is peace on earth, for this is the moment now. With every step I take, amid this my joy is found. I take each moment, live each moment in peace, eternity. Yes, there is peace on earth. I know it begins in me.
Indeed. We'll close the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Amen. Thank you.
We're gonna laugh a lot, we're gonna dance a lot, we got a lot of living to do. We're gonna make it, we're gonna shake and let go of those hard times too.